Is death a happy return? Is it a bloodbath? Perhaps it's a bit of both in the case of The White Lotus. After an 8-episode stay in Thailand, writer-director Mike White's anthology series has closed yet another chapter, with the season 3 finale delivering on one of the show's core promises: who's gonna die? Season 1 and 2 finished with the deaths of core characters Armand and Tanya McCoy, leaving viewers with the season-long question of how White and company would up the ante, or at least meet the high bar established in previous finales. The season 3 premiere had set the stage for a gruesome ending, with Zion Lindsay witnessing gun violence running rampant throughout the White Lotus Thailand resort. Over the ensuing episodes, fans were left to speculate on who would end up on the wrong end of those gunshots, with no shortage of characters to choose from. Would this year's murder victim come from the sprawling Ratliff family, be it Timothy or another member of his clan? How about one of Lori, Kate, and Jacqueline, the childhood friends that turned adulthood rivals? Rick was a strong candidate given his preoccupation with this and that, but would the vengeful man's partner Chelsea suffer the consequences instead? And how about one of Belinda or Greg at odds with one another over Tanya's death? Maybe it would be more than one of those people. Perhaps it could be all of them, in fact. Now, no more need to speculate. Here's who died and how the rest of the finale played out. Parroting the fateful words of Rick Hatchett, which he utters to Jim Hollinger, F you, the man that he spent all of the season fantasizing about killing, only to finally do it here in the final moments of the show. After returning to the resort from his trip in Thailand, Rick finally finds himself at peace, both with Chelsea and with his own dark quest. Unfortunately, he has another awful thing coming his way. The morning after his return, Strithala and her husband Jim return to the White Lotus. At breakfast, Jim confronts Rick and utters some nasty words about Rick's mother and even his father, saying he wasn't worth much anyway. Ironically, it turns out Jim and Rick's father are the same person. Not that Rick finds out until it's way too late. As the season reaches its boiling point, Rick watches as Jim poses for a photo with Strithala and the three ladies, Jacqueline, Kate, and Lori. He cannot abide watching Jim in such a peaceful moment, so he walks up to the man, grabs Jim's gun from his coat, and utters those two dark words, F you. Then he pulls the trigger, shooting Jim where he stands. Rick kills Jim only to hear from Strithala that Jim was Rick's father. The finale's matters are all settled. For the 4th season, White has said that he wants to get away from the crashing waves against Rock's vernacular, but there's always room for more murders at the White Lotus hotels.